You know the pyramids, right? Everyone knows the pyramids. They are massive, they are beautiful, and yeah, they are pretty wild. But here is the thing, Egypt was hiding something even bigger. Something so huge that ancient writers who actually saw it said it made the pyramids look ordinary. Yeah. Ordinary. Let that sink in for a second, that we are talking about a building so massive it had 3,000 rooms inside it. 3,000. Some of them underground, some of them above ground, and the whole thing was wrapped in mystery even back in ancient times. People traveled from all over the world just to see it. And the ones who did see it, they came back speechless that it was called the Labyrinth of Egypt. And today, nobody can find it, not a single room. Not a single wall. Just, gone, pretty wild, right? What was this place actually? Okay, so let's talk about what this thing actually was, because honestly most people have never even heard of it, and that is a big deal. The Labyrinth of Egypt was not some small little temple. It was not a side project. This was one of the most jaw-dropping buildings ever built in the entire ancient world. We are talking about a structure that covered around 70,000 square meters. Just to put that in your head, that is bigger than some entire towns today. That it sat right next to a pyramid, the pyramid of Pharaoh Amenemhat III, near a place called Hawara in the Fayum region of Egypt. And this was not built as a tomb or a random storage house. Nope. This place was built as an administrative center. A meeting place. A place where all of Egypt's regions came together under one roof. Think of it like the ancient world's version of a government headquarters, but 1,000 times more impressive. It had 12 covered courts. All facing each other. 6 on one side, 6 on the other. And running through all of this were thousands of rooms, chambers, halls, corridors, all connected in a way that was so confusing, so twisting, that even people who worked there could get lost. Yeah. It was that crazy. And the roof was made entirely of stone. Not wood, not clay. Pure stone slabs. All carved and fitted together so perfectly that people who saw it said it looked like one single solid piece. That is the level of skill we are talking about here. The whole thing was not just a building. It was a statement. Egypt was basically saying, we are the most powerful civilization on this planet. Do not let that fool you into thinking this was just some old ruins. This was a masterpiece. Who saw it and what did they say? So here is the thing, we do not have photos, obviously. We do not have videos. But what we do have is something really special. We have the words of people who actually walked inside it. Real people. Real accounts. And honestly, what they wrote will give you chills. The first big name is Herodotus. Now if you do not know him, he was a Greek writer from around 450 BC, and he basically traveled the ancient world and wrote down everything he saw. He is actually called the father of history. So when this guy says something is amazing, you listen. Herodotus went to Egypt. He saw the labyrinth with his own eyes. And when he came back he wrote that it was beyond anything he could describe. He said it was greater than all the works of the Greeks put together. All of them. Combined. This is a guy who had seen incredible things all across the ancient world, and the labyrinth left him speechless. That he talked about how the rooms were so endless and the corridors were so winding that without a guide you would never get out. He said the upper rooms he was allowed to see were incredible, but the underground ones he was not allowed to enter. The Egyptian priests stopped him. They said the underground section was sacred. It held the tombs of the kings and the sacred crocodiles. Yeah, crocodiles. Egypt was wild like that. Then came Strabo, another Greek writer who visited around 25 BC. He described it as a palace with as many rooms as there were districts in Egypt. Each district had its own hall inside the labyrinth. It was like every part of Egypt had its own little home base inside this one giant building. That is how they kept the whole country connected and organized. And then there was Pliny the Elder, a Roman writer. He gave measurements. He gave details. He talked about the doors that made a thundering sound when they opened. Imagine walking through a building where every single door sounds like thunder. That must have been terrifying and amazing at the same time. Three completely different people. 3 different time periods. All saying the same thing: this place was unlike anything else on Earth. That is a big deal, the history behind it, who built it and why. Alright, so let's go back even further and talk about where this whole thing came from, because the backstory is honestly just as wild as the building itself. The labyrinth was built during what Egyptologists call the Middle Kingdom period. We are talking around 1800 BC, give or take. Egypt at this time was incredibly powerful. The pharaohs had tight control over everything: the land, the people, the trade, all of it. And the man behind the labyrinth was Pharaoh Amenemhat III. Now Amenemhat III was not a small name. He ruled for around 45 years, which is a seriously long time even by today's standards. During his reign, Egypt was thriving. The Fayum region, where the labyrinth was built, was being developed into one of the most productive agricultural areas in all of Egypt. He had irrigation systems built. He reclaimed land from a massive lake called Lake Moeris. This guy was not just a king, he was an engineer, a planner, a builder, and the labyrinth fit perfectly into all of that. See, Egypt back then was divided into regions called nomes, kind of like states or provinces. Each nome had its own governor, its own culture, its own identity. And keeping all of these regions connected and loyal to the pharaoh was not easy. So the labyrinth was built as a place where all of these regions could meet. Each courtyard represented a different nome. It was politics. It was religion. It was power, all wrapped into one insane building. The location next to Amenemhat's pyramid was not random either. In ancient Egypt, your tomb and your legacy were everything. By placing the labyrinth right next to his pyramid, he was saying, even after I am gone, this place will keep running. My legacy lives in these walls, and for hundreds of years, it did. People kept coming. Priests kept working. The building kept standing. Until one day, it just didn't. When did it disappear and how? Okay, so this is where things get really interesting. The labyrinth did not just fall apart overnight. It did not get hit by a meteor or swallowed by the desert in one dramatic moment. It disappeared slowly. And honestly, the way it happened is almost more mysterious than the building itself. By the time Egypt fell under Roman rule, around 30 BC, the labyrinth was already showing its age. It had been standing for nearly 1800 years at that point. Think about that. 1800 years of people walking through it, using it, changing it. Over time, the building started to lose its purpose. The administrative system that needed it changed. New rulers came with new ideas. And slowly people stopped caring about maintaining it. Then came the stone robbers. And yeah, this was absolutely a thing in ancient Egypt. When a big building started to lose its importance, people would come and take the stones to use somewhere else. It is called spolia, basically recycling old buildings for new ones. And the labyrinth with its thousands of perfectly cut stone rooms was basically a goldmine for anyone who needed building materials. Over centuries, block by block, wall by wall, the labyrinth was taken apart. Used for other buildings. Carried away. And the desert did the rest. Sand filled in the gaps. Wind covered the floors. And one of the greatest buildings ever made slowly sank beneath the ground like it never existed. By the time modern explorers started looking for it in the 1800s, there was almost nothing left on the surface. Just a flat field. Some broken bits of stone. And a whole lot of questions. The greatest building in the ancient world had basically erased itself from history. Real talk. That is haunting. Why can't modern archaeologists find it? Look, this is the part that keeps archaeologists up at night. Because here is the thing. We know roughly where it is. We have the ancient descriptions. We have the location near Hawara. We have maps. We have technology that would have seemed like pure magic to the ancient Egyptians. And we still cannot find it properly. So what is going on? The first big problem is that the site has been farmed over for thousands of years. The Fayum region is incredibly fertile land and people have been growing crops there forever. Every time a farmer plows a field or digs an irrigation channel, they disturb whatever is underneath. Layer after layer of history gets mixed up and destroyed without anyone even knowing. The second problem is water. The underground sections of the labyrinth, the ones the priests would not even let Herodotus see, are believed to be sitting below the current water table. Meaning they are flooded. You cannot just dig down and walk in. The groundwater has filled those chambers over thousands of years, and getting to them would require serious drainage work that nobody has done yet. Then there is the political side. Egypt is very protective of its archaeological sites, and rightfully so. Getting permission to do large-scale excavations is not easy. And even when researchers do get access, they are often limited in what they can do and where they can dig. In 2008. A team used something called resistivity technology, basically sending electrical signals into the ground to map what is underneath without digging. And they found something. A massive underground structure right where the labyrinth should be. Huge. Exactly the right size. Right under the fields near Hawara, but they were not allowed to dig. So the labyrinth is sitting right there, under our feet, and we just cannot get to it yet. Pretty wild, right? Alright, so here is where we land. The Lost Labyrinth of Egypt is not just some myth. It is not a legend somebody made up. 3,000 rooms. Seen by real people. Written about by real historians. Located by modern technology. And still, just out of reach, somewhere under those quiet farm fields near Hawara, the greatest building the ancient world ever made is still sitting there. Waiting. Patient. Like it has been waiting for 2,000 years already, and a little more time is no big deal. One day somebody is going to get down there. And when they do, it is going to change everything we think we know about ancient Egypt. Until then, the labyrinth keeps its secrets, and honestly, that is what makes it so incredible. Oncoming fist.